I think you could still have a big market approach to doing things in a smaller community.
I can't wrap my head around everything that you do.
I like the adrenaline rush that directing gives you.
That's a quarter of a century, everybody.
The band's called Twisted Chrome.
Nobody talks to you about that in journalism school, do they?
I don't think so.
An inside look at the people in front of and behind the cameras at NTV on this episode of Inside NTV.
Welcome to yet another episode of Inside NTV, where we meet with folks that are on camera and off camera to introduce you to a little bit more about the folks that put the news on for your information and entertainment at home. And speaking of off camera, that's where this week's episode brings us. And Sam is joining me right now. And sometimes I introduce some people like, you're an editor, you're a producer, you're a director, camera, audio, but I feel like just about everything I just said fits under your job description.
Yeah. You may know me from Timothy Rice's Facebook page.
There you go.
There we go.
Facebook famous.
I am Facebook famous.
But how much Facebook do you do?
None. I don't have a Facebook. I had one up until final year of college, and then I deactivated it because I was spending too much time on it. And I'm too lazy to figure out how to reactivate it.
Lazy is not the right term. You're so busy you can't get around to it. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So I want to get to know you a little bit better, but I also want to get to know about what you do here at the station. So kind of walk folks through what your day is like or what you do here.
So get in at 2:30. We have the team meeting, talk over what stories we're covering today. Then I come back here, start working on the 6 o'clock show, produce that. After that's done, I start working on the 9 o'clock show, produce that, and then I direct the 9 o'clock show.
And you direct the 10, right?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
So Deandra sometimes does the 10.
Yeah.
But so to give a perspective into what he's doing, he's producing an hour-long newscast from 6 to 7. It's 2.5 hours, but it's essentially an hour.
Yeah.
And then come 7 o'clock, he's having to turn around and produce a whole nother hour for 9 to 10 on our Fox affiliate, KFXL, in a 2-hour time span. I mean, maybe you get a chance to kind of do something with the 9 if for some reason you kind of get caught up at 6. But most of that work for 9 does not start until 7:01.
No. There have been times where it has not started until 7:30.
I've been producing, this isn't about me, but I've been producing for almost 17 years in this market. What is that like? I mean, that turnaround for the hour from 6 and then also doing 9. And Grant Sterling, who hopefully meet later on, also produces in the evening. He does 5, 10 and helps with the 6. And so it's kind of a tag team effort. But your stuff that you're responsible for is very, very close together. And it's a lot.
Yeah. It helps that a lot of the reporters' stories are done and ready by that time. And so I can say, okay, I know I have, this and that slugged in for a minute to 2 minutes, per story. And so that helps. The hour-long shows usually have more of a national focus, which also helps. And sports goes long a lot of the time, so that helps.
Recently, yeah. And also, if people, I'm assuming folks out there watch the news, of course, that's why you're watching this. The 6 o'clock hour is going to have a different flavor than the 9. So it's not let's take everything from the 6 and just plop it in the 9. That's not what Sam is doing. He's creating new content from local stuff, writing things on his own, using other local folks' stories, reporters and whatnot, and then also from CNN, we're a CNN news source affiliate. By the way, when you hear CNN, just know pretty much every local affiliate is a CNN affiliate, different thing than the CNN on TV.
Yeah.
And we're also using our Sinclair-owned stories and stuff. There's a lot going on, is what I'm trying to say.
I guess another thing that helps is normally when I'm planning out the 6, I'll choose which stories I want to take, but there'll be some left over I'm not, and I'm looking at those and going, okay, I know I have these 3, and maybe I can pair, this with this. So I think there was one yesterday about drivers, like some schools are turning to AI as bus drivers now. And so I remember, there was a story on like a bus crash in Carolina, actually in Greenville, where I used to live.
We'll get more into that here in a little bit.
But it was like, okay, I can turn and be like, oh, bus crash in Carolina now. And I can run with that and go straight from that into, look, more schools are turning to AI to drive buses.
So there you go.
Yeah.
That's how you produce a show. You're looking for that flow and stuff that goes together, not just random stories thrown in a rundown.
And so you're always thinking you don't have to, when the 9 rolls around, you already have some stuff ready.
So there's your producing part of it.
Uh-huh.
But you also direct the 9.
Yeah.
And by the way, that ain't something I'm ever doing. I mean, I don't think anybody at home wants me.
I've seen you moonlight on audio.
Audio I can do as long as it's nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody at home wants me on a director board. What is that like? So, granted, say you have produced the 9,
mm-hmm.
and now you're directing the 9.
Mm-hmm.
Walk people through what that part of the job is like.
I like directing my stuff because when it flows, it is so easy to direct. Because it just flows, it has a rhythm to it. And I mean, you can't turn your brain off completely, but it's very much just like you have to hit the button. It will take care of itself.
You make it much simpler than what I think it actually is. I can't wrap my head around everything that you do, by the way. Tell everybody when you started here.
October.
So you have not been here a year yet.
No.
And you've already figured out how to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm impressed. And people at home should be too. And they probably already are because you're saving lives on the Tim Wright Facebook page.
I am on the Tim Wright Facebook page.
And so to get into that real quick, we talked about directing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why Sam was there. And it wasn't the only night, but that was the most interesting maybe because of all the storms. Sam stays, and sometimes it's Deandra, sometimes it might be Kendra, but in that particular night, Sam has to stay with Tim Wright all through the night until 2, 3, 4 in the morning, whatever time it is, until the next director comes in or when the storms let up, to make sure we get those warnings on the air. It's not just Tim or Kyle or whoever standing in front of the green screen. We need a director to take you to air and then to be able to get back to regular programming.
Yeah, and that's me.
And maybe that part of the job is a little bit of hurry up and wait. But at the same time, I mean, that's a lot.
It's a lot of waiting.
It is a lot of waiting, but it's important. It's very important stuff. And fortunately in Nebraska, we only have it for a few months. Yeah. Hopefully when we get to July, it'll be all over. But May is always the big one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You only have a day left?
There you go, as of this taping. That's right. So let's learn a little bit more about you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a loaded question. Where are you from?
I was born in Kentucky.
Okay.
Around 1st grade, I moved to Virginia. Wait, no, I moved there preschool maybe? And then after 1st grade, let me start over. Born in Kentucky, moved to Virginia. For 2nd grade, I moved to Carolina. Finished elementary school, moved to the Czech Republic. Finished 10th grade, I moved to Utah. Finished high school in Salt Lake, went to the University of Utah. After that, moved back to family in Maryland, about an hour out of Baltimore. I was there for about a little under a year. I did a college program down at Disney World where I worked in Animal Kingdom. After that, back to Maryland for a couple months, and now I'm here in Nebraska.
Wow. I can't even count how many times you would have moved and gone to different states or different countries.
Mm-hmm.
without getting into too specific stuff, what is that life experience like? I grew up in one town, in one state, lived there for 24 years. Other than being in college, I was in one house and then moved out here. Tell us a little bit about what that meant for you and maybe even how that helps you in career stuff.
I mean, you learn how to be very flexible when you're moving around a lot. It's nice just to get different perspectives on everything. Like, the war in Ukraine takes on kind of a new meaning when you've lived in what used to be a country run by the communists. And so I don't know. I like it a lot. I liked the adventure. I liked seeing new stuff all the time. So I enjoyed it very much.
And I'm assuming you probably have friends sprinkled all over the place.
Yeah.
That's nice too.
Mm-hmm.
You have built-in vacations all over.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to ask you about is the shirt.
I actually just got this shirt today.
Oh, look at that! Brand new, just for the podcast.
I am going. So it is a women's national team jersey.
Okay.
It is for Rose Lavelle.
United States, of course.
Yeah. They are getting a new head coach. Her first game in charge will be in Denver on Saturday, and I will be at that game.
So you're planning on now? Are you going to fly there? Are you going to take a train?
I'm going to drive there.
So, we've had this discussion already. So you're going to drive to Denver.
Mm-hmm.
The game is at what time?
4 Mountain Time.
4 Mountain Time, 5 Central.
Oh wait, it might be 3 Mountain Time.
Okay, roughly the same. So you're going to go to the game,
Uh-huh.
the match. It ends,
Uh-huh.
and then what?
I'm planning on driving back.
You are in here in central Nebraska, and you're going to make that run to Denver all the way back, all in the same day.
Yeah.
You sound like a sports reporter covering Nebraska sports and just having to go up and back. I mean, you've also done a similar run, but longer, to prove his love of the sport of soccer. Dallas. Now, granted, you didn't drive down and drive back the same day.
No, I just drove down. Game next day, drove back day after.
What got you to be such a big fan of soccer?
I think, well, part of it is living in Europe. I mean, soccer's huge over there. And I remember, so my favorite club team, not country, just professional team, is Chelsea. Because at the time I was living in the Czech Republic, Chelsea's goalie was this Czech player named Petr Cech, who was, big superstar, really good player. And so that got me into Chelsea. And then, 5 or 6 years later, Christian Pulisic, an American superstar, joins Chelsea.
There you go.
So that was cool. I forgot the question.
Oh, I was just saying, what got you into being a soccer fan?
So that was definitely part of it, was living in Europe. I played soccer growing up with me and my brothers. My dad was on a travel team in Alaska. He played soccer growing up. And I just like competition. I like the World Cup. I think it's fun to watch, the U.S. go up against all these other countries. And soccer's just really kind of an even playing field in that there's so many different teams from all around the world. It's not like basketball where the U.S. is going to dominate every single year. I don't know. It's fun to watch.
Have you, and granted you're busy most Monday through Fridays, but have you had a chance to catch any high school or college soccer matches around since you've been here?
I have not.
Okay.
I remember catching Darren's reports from high school and the Huskers NCAA tourney, but I have not been to any of the matches.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going back to work now, what and you're less than a year, do you have a favorite memory or multiple memories or thoughts or stories that you
Oh,
can
God.
share with folks watching or listening?
That I can share?
Yeah. There's some that you probably shouldn't, but if you
Um,
got one, that would be kind of fun.
favorite memory?
Also, while you're
Oh.
thinking of that,
Uh-huh.
do you mind me asking about the figurines over here?
Oh, Kendra got them for me for
Oh,
Christmas.
look at that.
She got Christmas presents for everyone inside.
Oh, my goodness.
Mickey and Minnie.
Look at that.
Yeah,
That's fun.
very fun. I remember walking in this week, and so we had filmed your 9 p.m. sports.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that ready to go, and then I got it. I got the director's booth set up for the 9. Walked away, and then I walked back in like a couple minutes before 9 o'clock, and everything was wrong.
Oh, no.
And so when we initially went on air for like that first like welcome to NTV News at 9, we didn't have a virtual background, and it was just the anchors on cam with the green screen behind them.
Oh, no.
And so we got that fixed for when we were in a reporter's story. We managed to get that fixed, but
And in case people are wondering, especially depending on when you're watching this, our set is currently under construction.
yeah.
Later in the summer, it'll be all brand new monitors, paint job. You'll want to see it to believe it. But right now, as we speak, there's not a lot going on behind a green screen behind the anchors. So that's an extra level of work for the director too, because you're not just shooting a 3D regular type set. You're having to make sure the correct image is in the chroma key in the green screen before you go to air. And every time you go from one story to the other, you got to make sure that thing is where it belongs.
Yeah. And usually it is. Not always.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that I'm missing. Because you're interesting to me just because you have such that background. Like you moved around and lived in all different places. Would you call, I think we've talked, would you call Utah more home at this point? Or I don't want you to rank them as like one's the best and one's the worst. But like if you were to identify where your quote unquote home is.
I would probably say Utah.
Because you went to school there.
Yeah.
As
Went
you
to school
mentioned.
there, a lot of friends there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you planning on traveling to Utah anytime soon?
I'm actually not going. I don't know if I'm going to make it back to Utah this year.
Sure.
I'm going down to Texas again later in June for another soccer game.
There you go.
Copa America. That'll be fun.
Is that the United States again?
That is the United States.
Who do they play?
They are playing. I think it's Bolivia. Let me Google that. It's one of the It's South American country, begins with a B, not Brazil.
Okay.
I want to say it's.
I'm going to say you're probably right.
I want to say it's Bolivia. Let's see.
How many different, while you're looking for that, how many different shifts have you worked? I mean, obviously it's 2:30 to 11 type thing is mostly. Have you done many weekends or
I've done
mornings or anything?
Handful of weekends, a couple mornings. I will have a 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. shift coming up.
That's right. You'll be quasi-working half overnight. Our overnight producer, Christian, has some days off, so we have to get creative to help fill that gap. And Sam will be covering that a little bit, kind of getting the show started for Good Morning Nebraska, and then someone else will come in and finish. So that's how that will operate. It's a lot of moving parts in order to get everything covered.
Constantly moving.
We have a solid number of people for our staff, but Bolivia.
Yeah.
But when people are off, I mean, you just got to figure out how to make stuff work.
Yeah.
Anything else that you would like to add?
Favorite memories?
Yeah. And you have plenty of time to make more, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Favorite memories?
Does it involve Trey being loud?
There's a lot of Trey being loud. God. I feel like we're going to end this podcast. I'm going to think back, and something's going to come to me. Pontius Pilate was funny.
Oh,
That's
no.
a treasured memory.
The conversations that we have sometimes in the newsroom. Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
So, yes, Pontius Pilate has been brought up in the newsroom before.
Mm-hmm.
You were very entertained.
I was very entertained.
There you go.
I never had heard Pontius Pilate used as an adjective before.
There you go. That probably doesn't happen very often.
No, it does not.
As Colton has said on a prior episode, there are interesting conversations not only in the control room, but sometimes in the newsroom.
Me and Colton get into many interesting conversations. We've talked about, let's see. So we've talked about, like, the Third Reich, a decent amount.
There's a lot of confused people watching this right now.
Yeah. We've talked about prostitution.
Now I'm confused.
Yeah. What else? I don't know. I go over and I bug him daily.
Yes. Well, you have
Yeah.
to. You're producing. He's editing.
He's
you gotta
my
make,
editor,
you gotta
so-
make sure he knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Sam, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And I'll let you get back to trying to work on the 9. I'm stealing time from that. So thank you very much. And we will have another episode next week.
See ya.